Vegetables. At first glance, they seem simple, things we chop, cook, and eat without much thought. But behind every carrot, potato, or clove of garlic is a long, intricate story shaped by geography, chemistry, culture, and time. The vegetables we see in markets today are not the same plants that once grew wild in forests, mountains, or river valleys. They are the result of thousands of years of human curiosity, experimentation, and survival. Many of the vegetables we now consider ordinary began as something entirely different. Wild carrots in Central Asia were thin, bitter, and woody. Potatoes high in the Andes were small, sometimes toxic, and wildly diverse in shape and color. Early humans didn't just discover these plants, they slowly transformed them. Through selection, trade, and adaptation, they turned tough, unappealing roots into staple foods that would eventually support entire civilizations. This transformation didn't happen in isolation. Geography played a major role. Plants evolved in specific climates, dry plateaus, tropical lowlands, or cold mountain regions, and carried those traits with them as they spread. Culture shaped how they were used, whether boiled into stews, roasted over fire, or fermented for preservation. Even politics and power influenced their journey. The spread of potatoes across Europe, for example, wasn't just about taste, it was about feeding growing populations and strengthening nations. Take the potato. Originally cultivated in the Andes, it became one of the most important food crops in human history. When it arrived in Europe, it was met with suspicion. People didn't trust it. Some thought it caused disease. But over time, its value became undeniable. It produced more calories per acre than most crops, grew in poor soils, and could sustain large populations. This single plant helped fuel population growth, reshape economies, and even influence major historical events. Its reliance in Ireland, for instance, led to catastrophe when disease struck, showing how deeply a single crop can shape human fate. Carrots followed a different path. Instead of becoming a survival staple, they evolved through selective breeding into a more refined food. Over centuries, farmers shaped their color, texture, and sweetness. What started as a bitter root became the bright orange sweet vegetable we know today. This change wasn't just practical, it reflected human preference, aesthetics, and even identity. Beyond history, vegetables are also a story of chemistry. Flavor isn't random, it's the result of specific compounds interacting with our senses. Garlic is one of the best examples. When whole, it has a mild aroma, but the moment you cut or crush it, a chemical reaction occurs, producing allicin, a compound responsible for its sharp, pungent smell. Cook it gently, and that intensity softens into something warm and aromatic. Roast it slowly, and it becomes sweet, rich, and almost buttery. The same ingredient completely transformed by technique. Carrots tell a similar story. Their natural sugars are locked inside rigid cell walls. Cooking breaks those walls down, releasing sweetness and mellowing the earthy bitterness. This is why raw carrots taste fresh and crisp, while cooked ones feel soft and noticeably sweeter. Onions undergo perhaps the most dramatic transformation. Raw, they are sharp and biting, but given time and heat, their sugars caramelize, turning them deep brown, intensely sweet, and full of complex savory flavor. Even bitterness, often seen as undesirable, has its place. Vegetables like bittermelon embrace it fully. Its sharp, almost medicinal taste might seem overwhelming at first, but in many cuisines it's valued for balance. Paired with rich meats or salty sauces, its bitterness cuts through heaviness, creating harmony in a dish. This idea that flavor is about contrast, not just preference, is central to many traditional food cultures. As we move beyond familiar vegetables, the diversity becomes even more fascinating. In Southeast Asia, the loofah gourd serves two completely different purposes depending on its age. Harvested young, it's soft, mild, and edible, often used in soups and stir-fries. Left to mature and dry, it transforms into a fibrous structure used as a sponge. Few plants demonstrate such a dramatic shift from food to utility. In the Andes, a region rich in agricultural history, lesser-known vegetables like oca and ulluco thrive. Oca stands out because of its natural sourness, a rarity among root vegetables. Its tangy flavor comes from oxalic acid, giving it a bright, almost lemon-like taste. Left in sunlight, it becomes sweeter, showing how even post-harvest handling can reshape flavor. Ulluco, on the other hand, is valued as much for its texture as its taste. Smooth, waxy, and slightly slippery when cooked, it adds body to stews in a way few other vegetables can. Its mild flavor allows it to absorb surrounding ingredients, acting almost like a canvas within a dish. Despite its qualities, it remains relatively unknown globally, partly because it doesn't store well and is difficult to transport. Eggplant represents another kind of transformation. Raw, it's spongy and somewhat bland, but once exposed to high heat, it changes completely. Its porous structure absorbs oil and flavor, while its flesh softens into a rich, creamy texture. Roasting or charring intensifies this effect, creating deep, smoky flavors that form the foundation of dishes across the Middle East, South Asia, and the Mediterranean. It's a vegetable that doesn't just accompany other ingredients, it becomes the dish itself. Then there are vegetables shaped as much by structure as by taste. Romanesco, with its striking spiral patterns, is a natural example of mathematical precision. Each floret mirrors the whole, forming a fractal pattern that follows the Fibonacci sequence. But beyond its appearance, it offers a flavor somewhere between broccoli and cauliflower, mild, slightly nutty, and versatile in cooking. Broccoli itself has a relatively recent history as a global vegetable. Once limited to parts of Italy, it spread through migration and trade. Its flavor shifts dramatically depending on preparation. Raw, it's sharp and slightly bitter. Steamed, it becomes gentler. Roasted, it develops a nutty sweetness. Like many vegetables, its potential lies not just in what it is, but in how it's treated. Asparagus offers a reminder of how important freshness can be. Unlike many vegetables, its sugars begin converting to starch almost immediately after harvest. This means that the difference between freshly picked asparagus and one that has been stored or transported can be dramatic. Its flavor, grassy, slightly bitter, and subtly sweet, depends heavily on timing. Corn tells a story of genetic change. Sweet corn exists because of a natural mutation that prevents sugars from turning into starch too quickly. This gives it its characteristic sweetness and juicy texture. Over time, humans have bred varieties that hold on to that sweetness longer, making it more practical for modern agriculture while slightly altering its flavor. Onions, garlic, and similar plants reveal another layer of complexity, their connection to human health and tradition. Used for thousands of years, not just as food, but as medicine, they contain compounds with real biological effects. Garlic, for instance, has antimicrobial properties, while onions have been linked to various health benefits. These uses blur the line between food and medicine, a concept deeply rooted in many cultures. Rhubarb stands apart in an unusual way. Though technically a vegetable, it's almost always treated as a fruit. Its tart stalks, rich in malic and oxalic acids, create a sharp sourness that pairs naturally with sugar. Its history stretches from ancient medicinal use in Asia to its later role in European desserts. It's a reminder that how we classify food doesn't always match how we experience it. Across all these examples, one theme remains constant. Vegetables are not static. They are shaped by time, environment, and human choice. They evolve, adapt, and take on new meanings as they move across regions and cultures. A single plant can be food, medicine, tool, or symbol depending on where and how it's used. In the end, vegetables are far more than ingredients on a plate. They are living records of human history, evidence of migration, innovation, survival, and creativity. Every bite carries traces of ancient landscapes, cultural traditions, and scientific transformations. What seems simple is actually deeply complex. And once you begin to see that,
even the most ordinary vegetable becomes something else entirely. Not just something you eat, but something you understand.